I've made a lot of videos on different asymmetrical games and enjoyed the gameplay for each of them, even if some of them have their imbalances in their gameplay or controversial history behind them, but they were all fun experiences. And I want to talk about something that I feel is extremely overlooked when it comes to these types of games and how they play as a whole. There are a lot of different dynamics and mechanics for a multitude of different games because they play very differently, right? Not every asymmetrical game is the same, which usually alters the way you're intended to play them. The best examples I can give for these are Pillar Chase 2, Forsaken, and the Roblox Until Dawn. Each of these games play differently from each other because they work on a different fundamental level. But each of these games have one mechanic that they share in common, and one that every asymmetrical game has to have. It's one that plays into the kit of certain characters in order for them to actually be viable, because without it they would be considered utter garbage. A mechanic that a lot of characters use but nobody really talks about or even seems to praise for existing. And that mechanic is aura reading. Now, for some of you casual players out there, you're probably wondering what exactly is aura reading. Well, it's pretty much what it's called. Reading the auras of players. Or basically just being able to see where they are at given times via maybe an outline or maybe an indicator showing where they are, right? Something to pinpoint their character. Of course, there can be different types of aura reading that can change how a character is played or how strong they are in general, because aura reading is a very strong mechanic in and of itself. Whether that aura reading work like MX's kill passive, where every time he gets a kill, he sees where the survivors are on the map, or how the Stalker can use Scream of Many to see a survivor's location that are in the 250 stud radius, or how Sawmill Doggy can see where a survivor is when they do an objective. The list goes on, of course, and there are forms of passive aura reading that some characters could have, or the aura reading that players are usually given during the last man standing scenario, but let me explain as to why aura reading is such a big necessity. I'm sure there will be times when you're joining a brand new asymmetrical game and trying it out for the first time, and you get your first killer round and you have to traverse the map for survivors, to try and kill them. What makes this easier with aura reading is quite easy. It allows you to pinpoint the exact locations of survivors and pick the shortest methods to get to them. And this way, you're not only covering distance, but you're also learning the map at the same time. And maybe it can be beneficial to newer rounds when you play as killer again, or when you're survivor. That way you have the upper hand, having known the map layout. It helps you to see vantage points you would most have likely just overlooked without the help of aura reading, and could teach you to predict and read survivors more efficiently without having to struggle so much. Aura reading especially is important in cases where you're on a much bigger map that could cause you to miss hiding spots and cost you your game. Most characters I've seen in games can be easily countered because of the simple fact that they lack the ability to track players, which is mostly because of how in some games maps might be poorly designed, and that could, in some cases, play against the killer, which really sucks. The best example I can give for this is a character like Niloticus from Pillar Chase, as he has no form of aura reading unless you step into one of his radioactive puddles or you get caught in his gaudy leap. Or Kind Mordo from Piggy Rush, as she only gets aura reading when someone is near her gravestone. Or Cool Kid in his Blood Moon state in Roblox Until Dawn, as survivors can just hide due to him not being able to use his aura reading ability when he's in his Blood Moon state. Aura reading is without a doubt one of the most important mechanics that certain killers need to have. I rarely see this mechanic implemented for survivors though. The only instance I've ever really seen this is with Guess in the Roblox Until Dawn with his focus ability. Now you could say the same thing for, Pillar Chase 2 with the Stefano item, but that doesn't really count as a core mechanic for the survivor. It counts more as just like an item. I think it would be cool for more survivors in asymmetrical games to have that ability, but in some cases it would be pretty stupid to give them, because in practice it would seem kind of overpowered for them, as not only do killers already struggle on their own, but now they have to deal with a survivor who knows exactly where they're coming from. So I understand why it's not going to be something that should happen, and never should happen actually. So please never give survivors aura reading. It's really dumb, because again, not only is the killer having to deal with big maps, but they also have to deal with a survivor that can aura read. Nah, dude, that's really stupid. But who knows? I don't know what most asymmetrical devs are thinking about doing. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about, and thanks for watching. See you later.